We've got tariffs, we've got political turmoil, we've got interest rate and inflation constantly changing. Nobody knows what's going on, but the one thing I can tell you is that home prices continue to go up. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Greg Pierce. I'm a local real estate agent and investor on the east coast of Canada, servicing the Halifax area. And if you are new here and have some questions about the real estate market, or you're interested in learning more about what's going on here in the Halifax area, please book a one-on-one call in the Calendly link below, or we can meet for coffee if you're local. I'd love to chat and answer any questions that you might have. So in today's video, we're going to be breaking down the year-to-date stats from start of January 2025 till the end of March, and we're going to see how it stacks up against last year. This is a pretty good apples to apples comparison. We're well out of the COVID period where we saw so much fluctuation and changes and massive appreciation and growth. Now we're getting more to a bit of a balanced market. We're able to really compare year over year data in a more effective way. So year to date, we have 989 homes that were sold. Again, from start of January till the end of March, and that's in the Halifax-Dartmouth region, specifically focusing on residential properties. So that is a 3% increase from this time last year. We're seeing more volume being sold. And then when we flip over and look at the average sale price, we're seeing that home prices are now just under $595,000, which is up 6.4% year over year compared to the same dates in 2024. So that is a very healthy climb, and that just goes to show that demand is still chugging along, particularly in that sub 600,000 price point. We're still seeing competitive offers. We're still seeing homes go above asking price. But on the flip side, when we get past that 600,000 marker, things tend to slow down a little bit. Homes are sitting on the market a little bit longer, and there's much less competition. So on average, homes are spending 41 days on market, which is just one day longer than this same time period last year. So still things are moving quite quickly in the grand scheme of things. And again, keep in mind, when we're looking at these averages, there are many homes that are on market much longer, but there's also a lot of homes that sell within 7 to 14 days of being on market. Again, it comes down to price point. Currently, we're sitting at 2.1 months of inventory, which is the same as last year, and that's still considered a seller's market. But it definitely doesn't feel as frantic out there. There's still more options. I find buyers are being a little bit more picky and choosy in terms of what they're looking for in their home. They're not rushing into kind of those FOMO type offers before, where it felt like if you didn't offer on this one, there was never going to be a home that was going to be available for you again, or one that you could afford. We're seeing a little bit more caution on the buy side, which is healthy for all parties involved. But again, I want to reiterate, depending on the price point, if you are sub 600,000, that inventory is moving very quickly. So the thing that's dragging this number up a little bit, even though 2.1 is still relatively low, is those higher price point homes. So if you're looking at $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 homes, they're the ones that we're seeing more inventory of. They're not moving as quickly. We don't get that same type of turnover. And when we're looking at below 600,000, those properties are moving very quickly. So that inventory comes and it goes just as fast as it came on. So this is an interesting fact. When we're looking on the sell side, 30% of homes that sold in March sold for over asking, okay? And I always caution people to not read too much into this, okay? We still have some strategic pricing that's happening where, depending on the listing, depending on the agent, depending on the neighborhood, pricing and list price can still happen where it's priced a little bit lower with the intention of creating more competition and more interest. And in turn, naturally, you're going to sell over asking price. So there's still not quite that true list to sale price ratio that we would expect, because under that 600,000 marker, we're still seeing some of that competitive pricing happening. So when you're going through a listing process, you might tell the seller that, listen, I think your home's going to sell for $575,000, but we're actually going to be pricing it at $549,900 or something like that. So you're kind of expecting top sales price. You expect it to go over asking. So it's important not to read too much into this, but it is still an important stat to share nonetheless. So here's where it gets a little bit interesting. Of the homes that sold over asking, they sold for an average of $22,000 over the list price, and that's down from the same time last year. That was $29,000 over listing. So while bidding wars are still happening, buyers are drawing a bit of a line in the sand in terms of how much they're willing to go over the list price in order to secure that home. So as someone that is in this market and works with both buyers and sellers regularly, my takeaway from all of this is that real estate is as certain an investment as it's ever been. There is so much turmoil in the world right now, and even more locally to North America, obviously with the Trump government down in the US with all the implementation of tariffs. And as our largest trading partner, this is drastically impacting the economy in Canada, as well as the outlook of buyer psychology, consumer confidence, it is not phasing real estate yet to this point. Now, I can't say for sure whether it will or not, but through the first 3 months of 2025, we're seeing really strong, steady growth within real estate. And to me, it just drives home the point that real estate is such a safe investment. We're looking at all these, crypto and stock markets that are fluctuating heavily and being influenced by tweets from Donald Trump and things like that. But the housing market just keeps ticking along. Now, this is a regional focus. We're talking about the Halifax-Dartmouth area within Nova Scotia, which is one of the smaller provinces across Canada. So I don't want to paint every province or every situation with the same brush, but it is important to know that this theme is fairly common across Canada. And we are seeing that people are quite confident still in real estate being a valued asset and a great place to park your money and invest. And there's not as much caution or concern as even I anticipated that may have come of this. We just had an interest rate announcement today, and they held rates through the Bank of Canada, and inflation is still a bit of a concern with everything going on. However, like I said, up to this point, real estate's really shown that it's a solid foundation for investing in. So if you're a buyer right now, I think now is a great time to look at the market. Obviously with spring, there's a lot more inventory that's come on. Interest rates have somewhat stabilized, right? To my previous point, we saw no rate change today. Rates are now in the kind of high threes. With some of those mortgages, we've still got the 30-year amortization for first-time home buyers. We've got 30-year amortization for new construction for any buyers. So there's a lot of different avenues right now to help first-time home buyers get into the market. And I think prices are a little bit more stabilized. And depending what government gets in here locally and what some of those initiatives are, there could be things that could drastically change the housing market. And it could change things when tariffs get lifted or some of that pressure goes away. The market could continue to rise at a faster pace. So I truly believe this is a great time to get in. There are still some that are fearful right now with everything going on. So if you're a buyer and you're ready and your funds are good to go, you've got your pre-approval, I would be out there house hunting right now, trying to find a great place, and you can move in by summertime and enjoy your new property. If you're a seller, I think it's a really great time to sell as well. I know it sounds cliche, realtors telling you it's a great time to buy and sell, but here's the reason. If you're a seller and your home is above that 600,000 threshold that I spoke about, there's still a great time to put your home on the market. Spring, your home always shows really well. You've got probably about a 4 or 5 month window where your house is going to look its best before we get into kind of the dreary winters out here in Nova Scotia. And if you're under 600,000, there's a very good chance your home is going to get off the market quickly. You're going to sell quickly for top dollar, and you're going to walk away with a really good amount of profit, whether you're looking to move into an apartment or you're downsizing, or maybe you're upsizing and getting that next tier on the property ladder. You're going to walk away with some great equity that's going to allow you to put either a larger down payment on, use some for an education fund or some travel, or just fund money at the end of the day. Both situations can be true. And like I said, I know it sounds cliche when a realtor comes on here and tells you that it's a great time to buy and sell, but first-time home buyers, I think there's a lot of opportunities with the incentives and initiatives out there to assist you getting in on an affordable level. And then on the sell side, the market is still quite hot, as you can tell from the previous stats that I've shown. So if you have any questions about your specific situation, because it all comes down to price point and the market that you're looking in, please reach out. I'd love to have a conversation with you, no strings attached, answer any of your questions that you might have. And if you took anything away from this video, I'd really appreciate it if you like this video, hit the subscribe button, and then hit that notification icon so you can be informed anytime I release new content. Thank you so much for tuning in again today. And as always, I'll see you on the next one.